Fast, Two Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 338, Fast 10, Lap 13. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by Twitter, the last bastion of free speech that we have. Shout out to Twitter.
Well, shout out to X and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever with us today to talk about Fast 10 and effectively close out the lap, even though we have a couple more episodes to go. We have author, professor, and award-winning journalist Zaki Hasan. Hello, Zaki.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
We reached out to you forever ago because these laps are forever long now, and you were super eager to talk about these movies. I would love to know, before we talk about this movie in particular, we're going to have some questions for you. We're going to have some rankings for whatever, but what's your history with these movies? What was the first one you saw? Have you been on board since the beginning? What is your connection to the Fast and the Furious franchise?
I do love, by the way, that you're booking a quarter year at a time. So.
Yes.
That's the most Joey thing I've ever heard.
Nothing
but yes.
time.
Yes.
So my history with the franchise is that I was there opening night for the first film back in 2001.
Wow. Okay.
And I watched it, and I always tell the story. I'm like, and I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, that was fine. What I remember saying is that was a pretty good unofficial remake of Point Break, I'm pretty sure, and I wasn't the only one who had that reaction.
Nope.
I'm sure.
Nope.
And it became a hit and whatever, and I was like, okay, cool. And I remember the first several sequels. I was like, well, I don't feel any great urge to keep going. I was like, okay, I saw where the first one ended, and I remember, when Vin Diesel left to do Triple X, I was like, all right, well, that's probably smart, and then Triple X. I saw Triple X. I was like, okay, well, maybe that wasn't so smart. What I remember very distinctly is I basically tapped out after the first one, and not because I disliked it. I was just like, all right, it's, I don't know how much more you can keep going. And I remember when the third one was coming out, I was like, well, clearly it's becoming like, one step above straight to video. And I remember when number 9, when 09 came out, the Fast and Furious, the fourth one.
Yep.
I was teaching a class I was teaching a public speaking class, and I was talking to my students, so they were like 18 or something. They're like, oh, the new Fast and Furious, like everybody's coming back, and they were so excited, And I was like, all right, well, that's cool, but they were so excited. I remember like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and then Fast 5, I remember same thing. Like, it was among my students, the excitement. I just thought that was really interesting. When the sixth one was coming out, I was like, I was going to be doing a review for it for an outlet that I wrote for, and I was like, now's the time. I'm going to get caught up. Mm-hmm. And so I got all of them on Blu-ray, and I just blazed through them all. And by Fast 5, which, that was the one my friends were like, Zaki, you should watch Fast 5. I think you'll like it. I trust my friends. And it was really like for me, watching number 6 in the theater with the audience was really like the moment where I was like, okay, this is something, because it has that opening credit sequence with the montage and everything, and I was like, man, this is a thing,
an event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They were so into it, and so that was fun for me, like having sort of mainlined all of them going into the sixth one. Mm-hmm. I loved the third one, by the way, and for a while I felt like I was alone on an island. I'm like, guys, I think the third one's actually pretty good. Now sort of it feels like people are coming around.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to find people there, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, here's everybody is. Here's my family. But yeah, three is tough sometimes.
That's been interesting. Well, what's funny is I remember going to see Fast 9 when it came out, and you have the scene. Was it the ninth one? See, it's such a blur now. Yeah, it's the ninth one.
Yep.
Where they have Sean Boswell and those guys, mm-hmm. and somebody in the audience, as soon as they show Lucas Black, somebody in the audience says, "Sean Boswell!" Like super excited, and it was like going to an MCU movie, and people were like, "Look, it's Bucky," And I was like, man, it's this legacy, right? And I think that's what at this point I've been like on board for more than 10 years, right? So it's fun to watch each new one, but I love the fandom. That's what's fun for me, honestly, just seeing how into it people are,
So with all that said, that's all wonderful. I'm glad that the franchise, we're not affiliated in any way, but we have won you back over. With that all said, can you please hit us with your rankings, either from favorite to least favorite or least favorite to favorite?
Wow.
Either way, whichever way you want to create more suspense, or just go either top to bottom or bottom to top.
Yeah. Okay. So I would put 5 at the top, which I don't think that's not a controversial thing.
No, that's the correct.
No. Yeah.
I'm, and this is just sort of like I'm sort of spitballing as we go, but I would go 5, 6, 3, 1. I would put 1 and 3 at about the same place.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. See, yeah, man, that's a lot. I'm just giving you my top 3. That's,
okay.
The rest of them.
5, 6, and 1 and 3 tied. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna leave it there because to some extent a lot of them blur together in good ways and bad ways.
Oh yeah, it's hard to do, man.
Yeah. So generally speaking, and we're not going to get into this movie just quite yet. We got some other questions for you, but generally speaking, is the one that we're talking about today, Fast 10, toward the top, toward the bottom, somewhere in the middle? I mean, we know it's not in the top 3 or 4, but is it something that you like more than most of the other ones that we haven't ranked, or is it toward the bottom?
It's not at the bottom, but I would say it's probably nearer to the bottom than the top, and that's just a reflection of me liking other movies more than it is a reflection of the film itself.
Yeah.
So before we talk about Fast 10, and at the end of our discussion, before the episode wraps, before we play a couple of games, we're going to find out which Fast and Furious character you are, so get ready, get excited for that. That's not quite yet. But we've got a couple questions for you. We used to ask all these personality questions, like, are you more Brian or Dom, me or Letty? And we're like, that's too many questions. But there are some unanswered questions, potentially forever unanswered questions, that have been posed by these movies that normal people don't know are questions, and me and Joe are just obsessed, and we need answers to these things. So there's no wrong answers because there's really no right answers. But we have 3 questions for you, 2 of which are like sort of open-ended and weird. The first question, in the first movie, one of your favorite movies in the franchise, if you remember, after the barbecue, Brian and Mia are in the kitchen doing dishes, and Vince comes in all drunk and starts belittling and badgering Brian, and Mia says, hey, Vince, what's the name of that restaurant you wanted to take me to? You know, the Cuban place. It's got the wood tables, the little red candles, the picadillo, the food all over the place. What's the name of that place? And he goes, Cha-Cha-Cha. And she says, Brian, you could take me there. So, Zaki, we say to you, thanks so much for the episode. Next time you're in town, we want to take you out to this restaurant. It's got these, the wood tables, the red candles, the food all over the place. You're like, hold on, food all over the place. What does that phrase mean to you? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What is conjured up in your mind when you hear the phrase food all over the place?
I take it to mean they don't clean the tables after the other patrons leave.
It's just dirty. Just unkempt.
Good food, but the general milieu is not, the health code folks would have some issues.
That works. That makes a lot of sense.
I think it's the first time that the word milieu has ever been used on this podcast. So thank you for classing up the joint a little bit.
I appreciate it, yeah.
So similarly, in Furious 7, there is a scene around the table where they're talking about past exploits, and Roman is bragging about how he's done all this work for the family, and he shot that shit out the sky, but bow, he took it down. And Brian says, Roman, the only thing I've ever seen you take down is no knees Denise at prom. We don't know what no knees Denise means. We don't know what that phrase, if that's a good thing, if that's a bad thing. We don't know if that's like a sexual thing. We don't know what that means. If you hear a person described as having no knees Denise, no knees Joe, no knees Zaki, what does that mean? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What do you think no knees blank means?
It sounds like a Garbage Pail Kid to me.
Ooh. Oh. I haven't thought about Garbage Pail Kids in a long time, but that's a good one. You cracked a nice scratch in my brain there.
That's a very nice one.
Yeah.
In that same movie, another Roman scene, this is a much more concrete answer. They go to that party in Abu Dhabi, and they said, we need you to shine bright like only Roman peers can, distract the entire room, and he starts singing Happy Birthday, right? So we are doing a heist, the 3 of us. We go to a tower in Abu Dhabi. There's a sheik with a fancy car, and Joe and I are going to go do some stuff. We're like, Zaki, we need you to shine bright like only you can. We need you to sing a song a cappella style that's either so good it's mesmerizing or so bad people can't look away. What song are you singing to distract a room full of strangers so that Joe and I can successfully pull off a heist?
Whew, man. This is
Are you known to karaoke or not really?
I don't want to subject anybody to me singing karaoke or otherwise. So
Okay. Well, that's important. So then, what song can you butcher so bad that people can't take their eyes or ears off you?
Song you love in the shower.
yeah, I'm gonna say "Hooked on a Feeling."
Ooh,
Great song.
Ooga chaka.
Great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just singing that the other day too. That's really funny you said that.
Sweet.
I was just doing lots of Ooga Chaka. Yeah, Ooga.
You're hooked on a Feeling.
I
The
was.
last question before I kick off the conversation about Fast 10 is, do you have a favorite character in the franchise? Doesn't have to be in this movie in particular. They could be someone who came and gone, someone only in one movie. Do you have a favorite character in the Fastiverse?
Yeah, it's Brian for sure.
Yeah.
I miss him. You know,
I did too, man.
I mean, obviously, like just the tragedy of what happened to Paul, but beyond that, I think he really brought something essential to the movies that I really miss.
There's been rumors for years his family wants him to come back. They sort of tease him coming back at the end of F9. His Supra pulls up to the barbecue, right? Like, do you want to see him if there's one movie, two movies left? We'll talk about sort of the future of the franchise a little bit later in this too, but if they're able to bring Brian back, if they choose to, is that something you want to see, or are you sort of worried about what that could mean?
I think at this point, it stops making sense that Brian is not involved in any of this.
Yes.
Very fair.
Because they're fighting like Decepticons, and it's like, where's Brian? Oh, he's watching the kids. It's like, yeah, but Dom like left his kid. We don't even know who he left his kid with. You know, in the ninth one or whichever one, I forget.
Yeah. No, and it's the thing that like my hang up is that like the franchise is like, well, we can't have Mia around if Brian's not around. It's like, no, you can. Like, Mia's an independent person. So, but they like they link the two so much that they like chase her away because Brian's not around or whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But let's talk about Fast 10. But before we talk about the movie itself, Zaki, I don't know if you know, there is a feature on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, called Crazy Credits. Are you familiar with Crazy Credits?
I'm not.
So Crazy Credits began as a way to chronicle movies like Airplane, where they had like Worst Boy, Adolf Hitler, like jokes in the credits. They're just like, these are crazy credits. We need to catalog these things so people remember. That section on IMDb, which is there for every single movie, even non-comedies. Sometimes there's none, but they also just sort of have come to describe the credits. Doesn't make any sense, but we found this lap, and so all lap long, maybe for the rest of the show, I don't know, we're going to look at the crazy credits for these movies. So there is one crazy credit for Fast 10.
It's the post-credit scene.
Spoiler in all capital
Okay.
letters.
There we
Spoiler.
go.
A
Yeah.
mid-credit scene shows a special forces team entering a theater, finding a video message from Dante Reyes announcing another target for his revenge. Even though Dominic Toretto injured his father, it was Luke Hobbs who finally shot and killed him. It is then revealed that it is Hobbs who is leading the team and watching the message, stating he is ready to take on Dante Reyes. And the weird thing about Crazy Credits, Zaki, is that in spite of the internet being a cesspool of hate and a place where no one can get along,
Free speech.
almost overwhelmingly all of these are like widely upvoted. This one, 68 people, not 60%, 68 people found it helpful, gave it a thumbs up. Only 4 gave it a thumbs down. People love
crazy
credits in a way that doesn't make any sense, but people 68 up, 4 down, they're like, yeah, that's a crazy credit.
So they're upvoting the mid-credit scene.
Yeah.
The description of
The
the
description of the
scene.
mid-credit scene.
That's written in words.
Yeah, so it's not like, there's like the site aftercredits.com where it's like, is this worth sticking around for, right? Like that's
Sure,
thumbs up, thumbs down. This is just, is this a crazy credit? And people are like, yeah.
I agree.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Fast 10. Zaki, I know this is not one of your 3 or 4. It's not at the bottom. It's sort of near the bottom. When you first saw this movie, what did you think? Initial reactions, if you've seen it again, reactions since then. Has it grown on you? Has it become worse in your eyes? Overall impressions of Fast 10, the newest Fast and Furious film in the franchise.
Well, I mean, I think that obviously, to somewhat, my reaction is hindered by the fact that it is half of a story. So it's kind of like, well, based on
100%.
how they wrap things up, that's gonna matter a lot. Going into these movies, there's going to be a lot of come on moments with any Fast and Furious, and you just know. I feel like this one had a few more per capita than I would have liked, and I distinctly remember saying out loud when Gal Gadot shows up, Come on. I was not. I was like, does death not exist in this universe?
Death does not
Apparently
exist.
not.
Although we have one theory, and it's not a theory that we came up with, but a past guest, I think was it Chrissy Shackelford, right? Was that
I
her
think
theory?
so.
She had a theory that we see the entire franchise through Dom's eyes. So if Dom sees a character die, the character's dead. But if a character dies and he doesn't see it, anything can happen. So like with that in mind.
Yeah, that was her logic for that Jacob is actually dead, and why like Jesse stayed dead, and why Han can come back because Dom wasn't there viewing it.
Yeah,
it's Amen. The more we thought
wild,
about it, the more it sounds right.
Works.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's funny because my second come on was Jacob. I was like, dude, really?
So you don't think Jacob's dead?
I hope he's not dead, but I feel like having Giselle back almost reinforces Jacob being dead, because I'm just like, I don't think you can, because that's like 3 movies in a row where, hey, you thought this person was dead, they're actually back. And so that kind of bumps me out, because I actually I love what they were doing with John Cena, actually in both of these movies.
Agreed.
And I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't know who was like clamoring for Gal Gadot to come back to this. I thought she got a good death.
We were, but
okay.
we're also kind of crazy, but yeah.
I mean, I thought she got a good death. I think there's value. There's value, cinematic value in having that. But I mean, just whatever, it's fine. What I said this past summer, because watching Fast X and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, both very close to each other, I was like, both of these movies are like, it's like a film school assignment where you're told, okay, make a movie where you got like this happen. There's like the bad guy who's got a grudge with the hero, and this happens, and it's part 1 of a 2-part thing. Go, and it's like these 2 weird mirror images of each other, both Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Fast 10 Part 1. I think what I did not like, I loved Jason Momoa. I think he just owned it. One of the best villains in the series. What I did not like was that the cliffhanger ending is not a good ending, because you don't watch that and be like, oh gee, is Dom dead? Like, well, we know he's not. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Because of our previous conceptions with the film, or because of just the writing specifically in this one?
Well, I think the one thing that you know for certain is that nothing, like Dom isn't going to be dead when Fast 10 Part 2 comes out. So I'm like, the opportunity with a cliffhanger is to leave your main character with a psychological hole that they have to pull out of. So they suffer a loss that we are left to sort of to fulminate over till the next one comes out. So that that was like, all right, well, we know he's going to be fine.
Like comparing to Dead Reckoning, which you just said, not to spoil Dead Reckoning, but like they basically need 2 parts of a thing, and at the end of the first one they get 1 part, and now the second movie is going to be getting the second part of the thing, right? And so like there's kind of a stopping point. But like those 2 movies, and we also talk about Spider-Verse, because that also ends on a cliffhanger too. It's like all of these enormous
movies this summer,
$1 billion
specifically
movies or whatever, all are just like, well, it's part 1 of 2, and then because of the strike and everything, going to be 2 years before you get a conclusion, right? So it's wild to ride that out.
It is kind of one of those things where I'm like, I mean, presumably the plan is still for the next one to be the last one. It's like, okay, well, you need more space to do it. It's fine. But like I said earlier, I think it's really contingent on how they wrap things up. And then obviously with this new Luke Hobbs thing, whatever, 10.5, whatever they're going to call it, that's like, how much is that going to take on the weight of wrapping up this story, and then they do something totally different.
Yeah, we talked about that before too, Bud. That we don't know if Hobbs is actually going to address the end of this movie, or if it's going to exist in parallel, or what's happening. Because it would feel like you kind of got taken if you get the end of this story in Hobbs, right? Because it's not like the logical conclusion of this. So we're like, and what can they show, can't they show? Do they have to like reconverge at the end of 10, essentially at the end of Hobbs? It's going to be interesting to see how they play this out.
I also do love Zaki describing that as like 10.5. Like, remember back in the 90s when like they didn't put they wanted to do like a Lion King sequel, but they're like, we can't just do a movie about Timon and Pumbaa, put it in theaters. They called it like Lion King 1.5 and put it on a video. Like, I would love
I forgot that was the
X
title.
and a half, right? It's just like, oh, okay. Because I also like, I want to talk about that too. Because
wait, would they stylize it 0.5 or a fraction?
it was Lion King 1 and 1/2.
1.5.
I know, but I'm saying, would Fast and the Furious? How do you think would be the appropriate way to stylize it
if it's
as
written out as
us?
Fast X, you can't do Fast X 0.5.
That's what I'm saying.
Fast
That'd be kind of a
X
cool
point V, like in Roman numerals.
Oh, there you go.
Fast X point V.
Yeah, because 10 is X and V is 5.
Everybody would get confused that it's 15.
Hey, man, look.
I know they don't care. I'm just saying.
Everybody's already confused.
Okay, I like the half. Having a half symbol in the title, I think, is a step that I wouldn't conceive yet. So I really like that. That would be fun. Fraction in the title, cool.
Joe, what did you think of Fast 10 this time around? I think this is our third time, I think, watching it.
No, I was really, really into it. It felt really great, and it confirmed a lot of the things that I had thought before. I have a lot of new thoughts that I'll cut in as we're talking about it, but as Zaki said, I think Momoa's still great. I think that still holds up. His character's awesome. I agree 100% that, like, I was really loving where John Cena was going, and you're right. I think he's probably gone, and that's kind of sad because I think he was a great character and was doing great, so, like, that kind of feels weird. And then, like, there's, like, a lot of nice, like, homage shit that I want to talk about eventually. How about you watching it for the third time, brother?
So we've not talked about this yet. We'll talk about this in 2 weeks in the next Fastlane, but there have been multiple articles and multiple reports.
Oh, I wanted to talk about this too. Go
Reaction
ahead.
Rocket's been tweeting it. We've been retweeting it. And we've been, saving this to talk about the next Fastlane. Zaki, I don't know if you know this, but, like, for the first time since he left, Justin Lin came out and talked about the franchise. They're talking about how there might only be one more film instead of 2 more films. They might want to really severely scale it down. And it feels like, to me, so much of this movie, like, with all of there's always uncertainty, I think, right? Because we should never, like, assume that things are going to happen. There's also the allegations against Vin. Who knows if that's going to mean, right? Like, all this different stuff in the air. Watching it this time, I'm just, like, I was kind of bummed. Because I was like, so much of this might just straight up not be addressed. Like, if they're going to shrink it down, I was also talking to Garrett.
I don't think that they can. I was wanted to talk to you about this, like, with them being, so the article, like, was titled essentially like Fast and the Furious 11 plans to go back to basics, and I'm like, we can't do that in the middle of this story. There's no, like, the bridge collapses and then they steal DVD players again. Like, how the fuck do you resolve that?
So I was talking to Garrett, and Garrett's like, it could be a smaller movie. That just means that they don't spend $340 million on it. They could spend like $200 million on it, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But there's so much, like, they keep adding and keep adding and keep adding, and, like, what I want really is, like, the Cypher thing to have a button on that, or tie the bow on that. The Mr. Nobody thing. Now we're bringing back Hobbs and Gal, like, and Giselle, right? Like, it's.
I don't think you could do that. That's what I'm saying. I don't see a way that this could go back to basics.
And there was in a time where there were maybe 2 movies left, like, you could possibly answer, twice as much stuff, especially with the Hobbs stuff. But, like, if there's only going to be 1 movie left, I don't know. It is, it's also, like, I don't want to, like, take it for granted. Like, this has been going on for 23 years now, and the fact that, like, they're still kind of flying by the seat of their pants is still kind of exciting. But it's also, like, we've put a lot of time, especially you and me, like, doing
yes, we have. Almost
400 episodes of this thing between this and the Patreon bonus episodes. Like, we kind of want answers. Like, I want, closure. It's not, I don't know. But I was kind of bummed this time, because I'm just like, we might not get answers to so much of this.
I also think the coolest way for this to actually, like, just fully fuck itself is for them to stop here. Like, I don't think we should if we don't get 2 more and button this up, end it here and just be like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck happened. They just stopped. Because I think that's chaotic, and I really like it, and it feels like it fits.
Okay, so here's a question for both of you. If we never got another movie, and this is the last, where it ended, where would you tell people to watch until? Because you can't be like, you can't watch till the end, because people would be like, if somebody's never seen the franchise, be like, don't watch the whole thing, because, like, it ends in a way. Would you have them end at 7?
I have an answer, Zaki. I would like to hear your answer first.
So you're positing that they don't wrap up the cliffhanger of Fast.
Just like
10.
Worst case scenario, we don't get another movie.
It's stopped. It's over.
Yeah, I would say Fast 9, honestly. I think that's a good place to stop it.
And 9. Oh, at the barbecue. Okay, with Brian pulling in. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're right. That end scene is very, very nice. I was gonna go with what you suggested, Joey, and just be like, stop at 7, and if you want more, treat 8, 9, and 10 as like a side quest.
Interesting.
And I wouldn't even. I would start them at I would be like 1, 4 through 7. I wouldn't even recommend that you have to do 2 and 3, and if you're already cutting it.
And look, I understand this is sacrilegious, and I'm not trying to advocate for this, but I'm just saying, like, worst case scenario, like if it ends on a cliffhanger, I think it'd be deeply emotionally unsatisfying. And
100%, yeah.
If you're trying to spare that from a new viewer, where does it end? 9 makes sense. 7 makes sense. Also, in a way, like, have them just do like 1 through 4 and be like, that's the end, and be like them like busting out, like don't even like get into like the crazy action, just be like 1 to 4 and that's it, and be like, oh, okay. I don't know.
That would be weird. 1 through 4. That's just funny because that's how it came out, right? But like, just if we just would have stopped at like 4, you'd have been like, whoa.
Yeah. Zaki, what about this movie don't you like? Is there stuff about here that like doesn't really quite hit for you? Stuff that you wish was done different, like fat that they could have trimmed, or bloat they could have trimmed, or just things about this movie that don't work as well as 9 or earlier ones?
No, I mean I think I called out my main issue, which was just sort of the arbitrariness of Giselle coming back. That was the thing that bumped me the most. But I mean, I'm kind of like, look, if you're still here for Fast 10, you know the ebbs and flows of these films. You know the score. And for me, watching it in the theater this past summer, and I told my co-host this at the time. I was like, you watch it and you're like, it's good to see Dom again. Like that's that's the feeling. It's just good to see Dom. It's good to see the gang back, and so whatever their crazy shenanigans that they're into, I'm like, no, this is good. I'm just happy to be seeing it. It's for me, and maybe I'm aging myself. It's what it felt like for me watching like Lethal Weapon 4. In the theater. I'm like, it's my pals. I get to see them again.
So, are there any of the movies, including Hobbs and Shaw, that you would say you don't like?
I'm not crazy about Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay.
Partly because it's so clearly like contractually obligated the way they're bantering with each other. It's like, you have a small penis. No, you have a small penis. Like nobody, and
yes,
and I'm just
it.
like, are we just have like cyborgs in this universe now? There's like a AI that's like out there. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm like, what's the bar where this thing just became a straight up science fiction franchise? And like, we just don't talk about it,
No.
Well, there's a line in this movie where I think it's Little Nobody was like, she lost 6 pints of blood. Normal people die after 4. I'm just like, is she Etion? Or do we still pretend that Etion is not really part of the main franchise? Like, there's things that just like, that could be something, but it's more just like she's like a supervillain. You know what I mean? Like, she's like inhuman. Yep. Like, we're all inhuman. But just like, or did she have like cybernetics like implanted in her that gives her extra blood? Or, just like, I don't know.
I'm like, how much do I want to get my brain in a knot trying to justify, like in the 9th one when they're Roman and Tej are in space, and Roman's like, hey, how are we here or something, and Tej is like, it's about physics, dummy. And I'm like, how effing dare you sit there in your space car where you're hitting the gas and your car is speeding up in space and you're talking about physics, I'm like, yep. That's what we're doing.
As I was watching it this time, and just with you guys like talking about stuff like that, I did notice that this one seemed to have a lot of foreshadowing in it. Like, I mean, knowing like where the story's going now, like revisiting it, 3rd, 4th watch or whatever, like they like specifically start mentioning like key points, like what was it? Oh, Queenie goes like, the world is on fire. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I like that they were like doing these like actual dead on notes, and it makes it actually harder for us because like you were pointing out like, oh, she lost 6 pints of blood, and then you're like, does that mean something? Because like they try to like leave breadcrumbs in other places of the movie, and then we know that there's many things, Joey, that they just like don't give a fuck about, and they just like give up on and don't explain shit to us. and just like pretend like it didn't happen.
Well, that also
or
drove me a little
drop the
crazy, like in
ball.
this, where like when at one point Tess Brie Larson is just like, with Mr. Nobody being missing, she's like a very pregnant pause. And just
Yes.
like, well, I know where he is, but you don't. It's just like, fucking explain it. Tell us.
Yeah. yes, exactly. I was so happy watching it this time. And bigger picture wise, like now after we've seen 9, we're watching this one. We say it's like the most fan service franchise that exists, right? Like they pretty much, it feels like they're just constantly writing what we want. But the specific idea that they're like, hey, we know that the fans like this previous movie. So we're going to like latch this new movie onto the previous one and just expand on the story of that is like a really cool, interesting way to do this. Like, you know, taking this one, using Brazil, Rio as the crux of it, continuing along the story of 5. It's just like a really cool thing that like you don't really see in movies like that, because like, you know, last time you can argue they picked up Tokyo Drift, and just like, and those are kind of the favorite ones of a lot of the fans. So for them to acknowledge that, to do that, and to expand on that, although it kind of feels like a cop out sometimes, I actually think it's a really smart, interesting way to continue the story, give us what we want, and make a new story.
Well, I remember when we were trying to take guesses at like what this movie would be. Like no one had in the cards like Fast 5 Part 2. Like the fact that they swerved so hard to be like, what's the movie that everyone says is the best one? That one. Let's just do more of that one is cool, but it's also, I don't know. Like I don't mind it, but it also seems to be adding more complications. Like again, if it's ultimately introducing Reyes and Sins of the Father and all that stuff to like close things down, cool. But like if you're just adding more in to like keep blowing it out, I don't know. I also know that people like, I want to be also aware that people who like aren't us or don't listen to the show probably don't care about closure in the same way that we do. They just want to see like cool cars.
That's what I'm saying.
Stuff
That's the
blow up.
cool part about it, because it's like it's servicing us, like the top of the fan base.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Not that the bottom doesn't, or like, you know, a casual fan wouldn't enjoy this, but at the same time, it's like, yes, here's the notes of the shit that you really liked from before. We'll keep doing that.
Yeah. I noticed something, this is to completely change the subject here, but I noticed something sort of weird this time that is similar to a conversation we've had a bunch recently. Zaki, I'm not sure how you feel about this, but in a lot of movies, Hobbs and Shaw in particular, and also F9, they routinely reference existing pop culture. Like Hobbs and Shaw, they keep referencing Game of Thrones. In F9,
so many
they
times.
reference Star Wars a handful of times, right? And just like, okay, so like that's weird. Like it's, you know, it's known quantities going for laughs or whatever. But in this movie, the thing that they don't mention them by name, but they're listening to Good Vibrations by Marky Mark of the Funky Bunch. And Jacob tells Baby B, that guy was an underwear model. So, like, in this world, ostensibly, Mark Wahlberg exists as both a rapper and former underwear model. So, like, we can't have Mark Wahlberg show up as a character, or we could. You know what I mean? But just, like, another thing where just, like, sort of a little bit more of an obscure pop culture reference, but just something that, again, they're referencing that exists in our world already. That was just like, huh.
And that means, so if Mark Wahlberg exists,
if Mark Wahlberg exists is a really good way to start off a sentence.
Does he exist though? That's the question.
No, but so in a world where they know Mark Wahlberg exists, which is a world that would probably have the Italian Job.
Oh, but the Italian Job is canon in this world.
In the Fast and the Furious.
Exactly.
That's what now I want to
Hobbs
work
and
out.
Shaw, where they walk by a Mini Cooper and Deckard goes, well, that's from a job I did in Italy. And people are like, oh my God, like it's, you know, crossover, because he was in that movie too. So he was in that movie with Mark Wahlberg.
And Charlize.
Although what we could also say is the Italian Job movie was a fictionalized retelling, a dramatic retelling of the heist that Deckard pulled, and they got a Hollywood lookalike named Jason Statham to play Deckard Shaw, but whatever his name is, Handsome Rob.
Okay. But then, so then Deckard is, like, he sold the script. Or, like, somebody wrote a script about
Yeah, I don't
the
think he's
heist that
involved.
did.
He might not even know the movie exists.
I mean, well, fucking Mark Wahlberg exists.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying that, like, there's, in this world where, like, our Deckard did that job, but he's not Jason Statham in the Italian Job, but the Italian Job exists in this world because Mark
Yes.
Wahlberg exists in this world. That
Yes.
there is also, in reality, like Mark Wahlberg could play Mark Wahlberg in Italian Job, but also whoever Mark Wahlberg's character in the Italian Job is based on in the Fastiverse. Does that make sense?
I think.
Like,
I think
if
that makes
Deckard
sense.
has a character based on him played by Jason Statham,
Yes.
that means that there's another person in the Fastiverse like Deckard that did the job with Deckard who looks like Mark Wahlberg, that
But
they
is
got
not Mark Wahlberg.
That's not Mark Wahlberg, but could be played by Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
And also Charlize Theron, like all the Cypher. Who knows?
It's kind of amazing though. The dipping that, like, when you start bringing in a franchise this long, when you start bringing up pop culture and there's every fucking actor in these movies, it gets real muddy really
if
fast.
Mark Wahlberg exists.
Because now, like we said with Hobbs and Shaw, like you have Jason Momoa as Khal Drogo, and then Jason Momoa shows up here.
Mm-hmm.
I never connected the Italian Job Mark Wahlberg one until right now, so I'm proud of that.
Well, because they don't mention Mark Wahlberg by name, they just talk about
No.
like you might not even know that that's him singing. You know, you might if you don't
Exactly.
if you're like a filthy casual, not one of us
Yeah.
like Wahlberg diehard stands. Opening
That's probably not a good.
Wahlburgers
That's probably not a
franchise.
good bridge to
Although I will say, I don't know if we've ever said this publicly, but like when Mike and I were going to do the podcast, the Ben Affleck podcast before he was Me Too that weekend, and we like swapped over to Charlize. We were going to do the podcast and do Ben Affleck, and then we were going to do the podcast part 2 and do Wahlberg. So like there was a future plan where we covered Mark Wahlberg's movies that thankfully we avoided.
Good choices
Yeah.
all around there, bud.
Yeah.
That's a hit list. You want to start a podcast about somebody we don't like? We can get him gone pretty quick.
You could just do a whole episode on his daily routine. Remember, wake up at 2:30, pray for 2 hours, go to the gym.
Yeah, I forgot about this. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Zaki, what else? Anything else about Fast 10 that we have not covered? I mean, because we barely talked about this movie, but anything else about this movie in particular, or the franchise in general, or the future that you want to cover? Because I mean, we got more. We got games to play. We got the character quiz. I want to ask you about the future, what you hope to see. But like, anything else about this movie in particular that we've not talked about that you want to mention?
Yeah, well, I loved the swerve with Alan Ritchson, where they set him up as kind of the new Hobbs, and so we're just sort of expecting, by the time this thing's done, he's going to be family too, and it was a
Very well played,
terrific twist, and Ritchson was great, and I was, that was one of those like, golf clap, when they do the reveal, and they show like him standing next to Dante, in the flashback scene. I also. I'm glad Han is back. I was like, oh,
You're okay with the Han coming back?
That's the weird thing is I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, so why am I okay with Han, but I'm not okay with Giselle? And I think with Han, the retcon that they showed in the 9th one was absolutely preposterous. It was like, it was like retcon Inception. It's like because the when we see Deckard kill Han, that itself is like inserted into what we saw. So now it's like 3 levels of retconning. It's like something Jeff Johns would have done in DC Comics. It's like, this is what actually happened, and then we have like another angle, and there's Mr. Nobody. And I'm like, it's fine because Han is back. It's fine. But I've really enjoyed seeing him in this, and I was thinking it's funny how like because they rehabilitated Deckard, like we still have to deal with the Han and Deckard thing, and it's just seeing all the pieces is very funny to me, like because I was thinking about that. Before F9 even came out, I remember talking to my brother, and I was like, they have to bring Han back. That's like the only way for people to be okay with Deckard being a good guy. And so in the trailer for 9 when I was like, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Were you like me, and I think also probably like Joe, bummed that they revealed that? I know they have to for marketing, but like, were you bummed that they revealed it in the trailer? Would you like? How much more excited would you have been if they just in the movie they just dropped him in there?
I do think that was that wasn't a smart thing to give away. I think it would have meant
it would
much
have
more
hit
seeing
so
in the
much
theater.
better.
Totally.
If they would have held it back. I get. Yeah, I still think that that's a weird decision. Because you know how stoked we would have been in the movie theater if we would have just saw Han come like out of nowhere.
They
we would have
must
lost
have
our
had market
minds.
research that like core fans were leaving after 8 or something. You know what I mean? That like they would not have
Yeah.
shot that shot in the trailer if they thought people were going to go see that movie.
Yeah.
it's funny to me, and we've talked about this before, and I think talked about it recently, like how many times they go back to that well. Like they've shown his death or not death in like 4 or 5 different movies now. Just like, what do you like? But they keep doing it, and it keeps kind of making sense.
Doing it. Yeah, they do. They keep going back there. That's for sure.
So Zaki, with maybe 1, maybe 2 movies left in the franchise, where do you want to see this go? Do you want to? I would assume you kind of want to, if you don't want Giselle back, might want to keep it smaller. But like, what do you want to see in this next 1 or 2 movies to sort of wrap things up? Do you want closure? Do you think they could offer closure? Do you want characters to die? Do you want characters to come back? Like, what are you hoping for as we near the end of this runway?
You know, the one thing that I've been saying for a little while, and I don't know if I want this, but this is my prediction. I think the series ends with Dom dying. That's that's my. I feel like they've done everything to make Dom the Jesus of this whole thing. So.
Oh yeah, lots of religious symbolism in this one as well.
I also have to imagine that Vin Diesel saw the way people mourn for Tony Stark, and he was like, I want some of that, you know.
And they'll be like, and Baby B will be like, Dom, I love you, 4,000. They're like, oh my god, they did more than Tony.
That's right. So that's what I see. That's what I see happening.
I think Dom dying is a good thing. I don't know if Vin, as a person, could relinquish that amount of character power.
No, but I think above all, he is an artist.
And he wants
I think to sacrifice for his art.
To Zaki's point, I think that the juxtaposition of the crowd like mourning over the loss of Dom would kind of balance that. But I think in the back of his head, he's like, I got to be able to come back if we ever make another one of these, no matter what. So, but we talked about it. I think we talked about it, like maybe like flashbacks or something like that. But like, it just feels like you can't have another, like, you know, something along the lines of Spy Racers where like he can come back and be like, this is my nephew, and like one scene and that's out. And like if you kill him, you can't do this anymore.
I mean, you could also just, like, there are so many stories they haven't told within the chronology that we've already seen, right? Like, this just takes place before Fast 10, right? Like, there's going to be a spinoff or whatever, right? You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As much as they do care, I feel like they don't care.
Zaki, are there any actors who have not been added to the franchise that you would want to see added? I mean, we've already added so many, but like people that you're like, I can't believe X or Y is not in this franchise already.
Well, I am kind of surprised Mark Wahlberg never showed up. Right? He does feel like an easy. Yeah. Like you can imagine him in that world. But I'm going to say Keanu Reeves. Kind of. I'd love to see him in the Fast universe. You know. Like who
that this was always a big rumor, right, Bud? Right? Did you know that they like he was wanted to be the voice of E.T. on?
Yeah, in like Hobbs and Shaw 2, he was going to be the villain. Like he couldn't because of John Wick filming or something. But like, you know, having worked with David Leitch and like being so close with him, like they wanted him for that movie, and it felt like for a while he was close.
Very natural fit.
Who knows?
I
if we'll
agree.
Get one of those. Yeah. He would be good though.
I think he'd be excellent. I think it's a very, very natural fit. I would be very happy with that.
Do you have I don't think we've ever asked this. Do you have a least favorite character?
Ooh, boy, that's a good question.
You know, someone just annoys you, or that you think that like not even like the performance of the actor, but just maybe the way that they've used the character, they just like they have squandered potential of a character. Yeah. I don't know if I have an answer.
You know, I'm going to be honest, and maybe this is unpopular. I'm not a big Letty fan. I like Dom and Elena.
Elena?
You know? Yeah, that's me. I'm hashtag Dom Lena forever.
Okay.
I think Letty's a good answer because I feel like she should have had so much more to do than the franchise has given her. But
I can see the side of it, yes. As much as we love Letty, I can see that like it's like, oh well, they like never really did anything with her anyway. So.
Wait, Joe, who's your least favorite character?
Ronda Rousey, 100%.
Oh, right, yeah.
Get rid of her. Shoot her right into a cannon.
I forgot she was in this.
That's fair.
Yeah, in between the two buildings. Cannon her right through them.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Do I have a least favorite? I mean, for a while it was Roman, then I've softened on Roman. Not that I hated Roman, but like I thought that they just took all agency away from him, but like I like Roman now.
Yeah, he was pretty decent in this movie, too.
Yeah. I mean,
knowing that Tyrese did the powder thing just because he felt like it makes that scene finally palatable.
Well, speaking of like Ronda Rousey level in terms of screen time, like get Bowie 420 out of there. Let's get Pete Davidson out of the franchise. We don't need him in there, right?
So I agree. Yeah, that was useless. But I said if nothing but to learn that Tyrese decided throwing powder into the light fixture was something he needed to do in that scene. And we don't know
into
why.
Pete Davidson's face, right? It's just like, I don't know, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
I don't know, but that was an acting choice by Tyrese, and in that sense, I now love it.
Yeah. Fair. One other thing, Zaki, we've been doing all lap long because this is our planes, trains, but no automobiles lap, which every time we're, in between these movies, we're watching movies that have a prominent vehicle that is not a car. So we have been cataloging all the non-cars in all the movies we watch, and there are so many vehicles in this movie. And then
I don't know if I have them all.
Questions about. So, Zaki, history of the show, Joe and I do not agree on almost anything, and yet we are both firmly aligned that basically anything can be a vehicle, and so many of our guests are like, "You're wrong." So when we
guest
got things
fans,
on the fence,
anybody that writes in and talks to us has thoughts.
We need you to be the arbiter because I've got a lot of like, is this a vehicle? And I want your take on whether or not, like for instance, 2 cars dragging a safe along through the streets of Rio is. We also might have this conversation in Fast 5. Is the safe a vehicle?
No.
If you're riding in it or on it.
No, because the safe is not propelling itself; it's being towed.
Well, so
is a horse-drawn carriage? Yeah. That's what I was about to say
too. The horse is the vehicle.
That's exactly where my brain went.
I know.
Our goal.
It doesn't have wheels. It doesn't have wheels.
Our unspoken goal is to get every single person listening to this podcast to question their understanding of what a vehicle is.
The wheels are the essential element there. Because if the safe is the safe once the cars are separated from the safe stops. A carriage can move a little bit because it has its own wheels.
So wheels make a vehicle.
Well, I feel like you're setting me up for something, but as of this second, yes.
No.
Okay. Is the RC car a vehicle, or is that a toy?
I think so.
Toy.
I think that it's a vehicle because they use it
vehicle?
as a vehicle.
What about a runaway elevator without brakes?
No, that's just a death box.
So gravity does not make a vehicle.
No, I mean an elevator's not an elevator's a conveyance.
It's a method of conveyance.
Okay, yeah, which was at one point our definition of vehicle.
Yeah. Things that get you from point A to point B.
Walt Hickey's definition of vehicle. That's what he.
I think Walt would consider an elevator a vehicle.
Method of conveyance, I guess. So what was the one? I had a weird one too.
There are bicycles and motorcycles all throughout the sequence
That's
in Rome.
easy. Yes.
There's a bunch of planes. There's the military plane. There's the plane that
convo truck. The convo truck that they remote control and has the bomb in it. I think that's it. That's its own vehicle. That's not a car. Like it's like that's like a. It's like a, what do they call it? The hauler in Spy Racers.
Yeah.
We get another one of those.
Is the shipping container?
I was going to say this. That was it. Sorry.
That they escape in. Is that a vehicle, or is the vehicle the boat that transports them that we don't see?
Only the boat, not the shipping container.
Okay.
Because although they're in the boat, that's like, is the cruise ship room a vehicle? It's like, no. That's just where you are on a vehicle.
Airplane that Jacob and Baby B take. There's their makeshift plane that they sort of fall out of. They drive a
that glider thing,
boat.
100% a vehicle because he can steer it. It's propelled. It flies. That's a vehicle.
They drive a speedboat. They've got the cannon car. There's more
cannon car. I have. Yeah.
And then there's the submarine that gals on at the end. But what did I miss?
Helicopters everywhere. Yeah, helicopters everywhere. The ones that Dom breaks down. All these things. But I think that's pretty much a lot of my list too. Commercial plane, cargo plane. There's a commercial plane too.
Yeah.
Like they just have like just a regular ass
flight.
flight.
Baby B and Jacob take that Meadow Walker's on.
Yeah, Vespas. If you want to count those separate as motorcycles.
Zach, do you remember
they're in
any other
Italy.
non-car vehicles in this movie? Anything stand out?
Nothing comes to mind.
Sometimes there's none. We're like, this is a movie that should have a bunch. Like, I think it was maybe Fate, where like there's not really a lot. There's a couple, but I don't know if it's Fate or not. But then there's some that are just like, oh,
This one, they hit everything. Yeah. They hit everything that's not a car in this movie.
I also don't know if I ever noticed this. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but Roman has a vanity plate on his all-gold car.
What does it say? I heard him say, like, he said something like, I don't know, snazzy is what I was going to say. But he said something.
In two different ways. His vanity plate, car sick. The car is sick, and he's also getting car sick driving around. Car sick.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Pretty cool.
I thought that there was one, but I didn't pause it and go back and look. We were not doing the minute here, so I figured we were okay.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I was like, we're going to watch this movie a million times anyways. I'll eventually see it.
Zaki, do you have any other points that you want to bring up about this movie? Do you want to find out which Fast and Furious character you are?
Let's do it.
All right. So this is we found years ago, we found a quiz online, like a BuzzFeed style, J14 style quiz that were like, we can make a better one. So Joe and I made questions, made answers, made results. So there are 7 questions, 6 multiple choice answers per question. You can explain your answers or not. It's totally up to you if you want to remain a mystery.
You can lie if you
want. But there are 7 questions. Are you ready to begin?
Let's do it.
Question number 1, how fast are you? NASCAR, roller coaster, Lamborghini Murcielago, Toyota Prius, Vespa, or Razor scooter?
I'm going to say Toyota Prius.
Okay.
Okay.
Question number 2, how furious are you? The Hulk, Kylo Ren, Christian Bale on that one movie set that one time, Mel Gibson, Charlie Brown, or Jack McBrayer?
I'm going to say Christian Bale that one time. Just an occasional moment, embarrassing moment,
Zaki, we're having a barbecue. How are you helping? Are you manning the grill? Are you saying grace? Are you kicking back with a beer? Are you babysitting? Are you being the entertainment? Or are you sneaking a snack?
Sneaking a snack.
Okay. Question number 4, you've got time to kill. What are you doing? Grabbing a bite, working on your car, hanging with friends, drinking a beer, working out, or doing some work on your computer?
Hanging with friends.
Describe your... There's also, you have, basically a 9-way tie for the lead right now. This could go...
That's awesome. Questions. These are wildly, disconnected answers, it feels to me.
Question number 5, describe your wedding. I'm never getting married. It's just me and my partner. It's us and our families. It's a backyard country affair. Everyone I know is there. I don't remember.
I'm going to say us and our families.
Okay. Zaki, congratulations. You just won the lottery. What are you buying? Your own garage, a private plane, gambling it all away, child at home, a fleet of cars, or a new life?
Oh, child at home.
Final question to determine it all. What is your drink of choice? Belgian ale, Corona, something fruity, water, whatever's cheapest, or, Joe's going to the bar to get a drink. Just give me one of whatever you're having.
Water.
All right, Joe, any guesses?
I don't know. The child at home should lean firm Dom, but I'm unsure. There's a lot of interesting choices there.
Dom was middle of the pack. Dom was not up there at the top.
I don't know then.
He is, Zaki, you are the same character that I am. You are Mia Toretto.
Ah.
I like it.
Family means everything to you, but people often mistake you for being meek or non-confrontational. You tend to take on a supporting role and let others handle the more exciting tasks because it's more important to you to know that someone else is watching over everyone else, or someone is watching over everyone else, than to seek glory for yourself. Even so, you're not afraid to jump into the fray when your family's on the line, and you drive like the wind blows.
Hey, I like and bonus. People often mistake me for Jordana Brewster. So
yes, exactly. I see it.
I get that a lot. So
I will say you were almost also Elena, and then Twinkie, and then Hattie. So you've got strong supporting character vibes, I guess.
I'll take it.
But yeah.
Hopefully, I was a strong supporting character for you guys today.
Oh,
That's the important
absolutely.
thing.
You were excellently a strong.
But we have one more thing to do before we say goodbye. This ain't no 10-second race, a.k.a. Boy Do We Have a Podcast for You.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah.
So, Zaki, this is where we go on twitter.com, aka or x.com or whatever, the app formerly known as the Bird app, and we find any tweet from someone tweeting about these movies, these actors, this franchise, whatever, and we respond to them from Too Fast, Too Forever with a message that ends with, boy, do we have a podcast for you. So, Zaki, I don't know if you found a tweet yet, but go find one from anyone tweeting about these movies or these actors. While you do, I'm going to review last episode's results. I will also say it is wildly difficult to score points in this game. So don't feel
Very,
pressure
very
to find a
hard.
good one. You're probably not going to score points anyway. But last time, Joe, we did F9 with Brian, who played for charity as well. I found, names upside down at a name that I can't figure out. Still thinking about how Mr. Nobody sends out a distress call in F9. Toretto and his friends complete the mission, but they never even bother trying to find or rescue him. They're completely forgotten about him by the end of the movie. We said we complain about this every time we watch these movies. When is he coming back? We need answers. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. 2 likes, but from Aaron Willozin and Liam. So even though we got likes, 0 points for me. Joe, you found BW Carlin at Bailey Carlin. There were a few groups of people. Oh, this is we have to do it fast because they tweeted this 40 minutes ago or something. Remember, it was just like very...
Yes, yeah.
There are a few groups of people I feel worse for than the dorks and losers who do not enjoy the masterpiece that is the Fast and Furious movie franchise. We said Bailey. We could not agree more. But you know what? We always have room for dorks and losers to become #family. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. It got a like. Also from Aaron Willozin. So, Joe, you also get 0 points.
Yeah.
Brian, I forgot. Brian, who also, almost immediately after this, made Too Fast, Too Forever After Dark on Twitter.
Yes.
Found a tweet from Josh Tennant at Josh Tennant from May of last year saying, you must be John Cena from F9 if you think we fucking me. And then just a picture of John Cena in front of his car from F9. And we said, then I guess we fucking, boy, do we have a podcast for you. It got a repost from Too Fast, Too Forever After Dark. And it got 2 likes from Too Fast, Too Forever After Dark and Aaron Willozin. So unfortunately, Brian, no points. But Brian also did, as he is wont to do, play for charity. He found Delululemon at Might Ash Well. No spoilers, but my fiance said Fast Nine's in space. Can you please confirm? And we said, can confirm. Fast Nine's in space. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Reaction Rocket replied to it, which does not count. And Aaron also liked that one too. So even charity got no points. 0 for 4
Damn.
last time.
Bad week. Jeez.
Now, I found one already, but do either of you want to go first in terms of trying to get us points, find us new listeners in Boy, Do We Have a Podcast for you?
I have a very, very good one that I'm very confident about, okay? I don't say that lightly. Mine is from Ryan Eades, at Ryan2499. I decided a month ago to check out the Fast and Furious movies. Hadn't seen one, not really my thing. Just got through Fast X, and now I'm on every site I can find on the theories moving forward. And man, I miss B. #ride or die, #family.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, buckle up, because we have 400 episodes of theories and thoughts. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that, if anybody should respond /listen, it's a guy 18 hours ago that says, I just finished Fast X. I'm scrolling for fan theories on what's going to happen.
Yeah. Zaki, you found a tweet. Can you please read who this is from and then also read the tweet aloud?
Yes. So this is a tweet from Isarty. That's ESARTY at ESART. It says, Fast X is like the movie equivalent of Royal Rumble. Every few minutes, a familiar face runs in and joins the action.
Beautiful.
It's a very good tweet. Yeah, it's exactly how it feels.
That sums it up.
I think so. Yeah, good choice, bud.
So how do you want to, we're going to end it with Boy Do a Podcast for you and link to the show, but how do you want to just customize it with saying that sums it up, or do you want to add something more to the message?
For me, that sums it up.
Works. That about sums it up, bud. I think so too.
That about sums it up. Boy, do we think so too. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. So I found this one earlier today from Mac1214 at DeMac1214 EVR. I can't believe, this is in quotes, I can't believe they made Fast X without knowing where the series would go next. Have you watched these movies before? And I'm going to say, as Brian said in Fast and Furious 6, they're going to do what they do best, improvise. It's all part of the journey. Boy, do we have a podcast.
Excellent. Excellent response, too. Good job, bud. I think those were 3 good. We should get some points. We should make up for the last time we played, and we should get some points this time, I think.
Well, E. Sardi already liked Zaki's tweet. So, Zaki, you're already on the board with 1 point. So, we'll see if you get even more. So,
wow.
A like is 1, a repost is 2, a reply is 5, and if they email in, you get 10 points. So, like, this could be an ongoing thing. But, Zach, I need you to know 1 point might not sound like much, but you are above, like, 80% of the people who have been on the show.
They've ever played this game.
So difficult to get points in this game. Even though we say this every single time, we are finding people who love a thing we love. We have done a thing that they might be interested in. We customize a message to them. They're just like, can't even be bothered to hit a like.
It's it,
wild.
Not even like
it's
it. Yep,
wild.
Likes are free. They cost nothing.
Well, don't let Mr. Tweet hear that because he might start charging for likes.
Our sponsor today, shit. Hopefully we get free blue
free likes for life
since they sponsor. Yeah, free likes for life.
Boy, oh boy. Well, Zaki, thank you so much for joining us to talk about Fast 10 today. Where can people find you? Do you have stuff online that you want to direct them towards? Social handles, things you've written, things you do? Where can people find you if they want more Zaki?
Well, I'm on social media at Zaki's Corner. That's Zakis Corner, and that's on X and Blue Sky, Threads, or Instagram, wherever. You can also read my film and reviews at the San Francisco Chronicle, where I'm there fairly often. I also write for The Wrap and IGN. And also I co-host the Movie Film Podcast. That's Movie Film, one word, where my partner Brian Hall and I talk about all the latest news out of Hollywood. We also do commentary tracks for new films, and that show drops usually every week, every other week.
Excellent. That sounds wonderful. Well, thank you again for being here, Joe. Our next episode next week is Rumble in the Bronx from 1995, which is a movie that I saw for the first time, I think, last year. I was like, movie rules. We're going to talk about this because there are crazy non-car vehicles in that movie, which I am excited to talk about.
Rumble in the Bronx, by the way, fun fact, that's the very first movie review I ever wrote.
Whoa, look at that.
Are you serious?
Perfect,
wow.
Perfect
what timing, too.
That's true.
Complete coincidence. Wow.
What a true coincidence there. But Zaki, thank you once again for joining us today. And for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on all of the social platforms. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFast2Forever.com. Bunch of bonus episodes coming your way very soon. Get in the door for just $1 a month or more to get bonus episodes, basically weekly for the next, 6 weeks or something. There's a bunch coming your way.
There's a bunch, yeah.
Again, email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our store at cageclub.me/shop, and come back next week for the first film Zaki ever wrote a review for, Rumble in the Bronx. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And that was Zaki Hasan, and we will tell you all about it
when we see you again.